welcome to BBC Newsline. A bomb's exploded outside the home of a police officer in Londonderry. It happened as the army tried to defuse it. It's thought the bomb may have been an undercar booby trap which fell off on the driveway. The follow-up security operation has kept people living nearby away from their homes. This from our Northwest reporter Kieran Turish.
The police say army bomb disposal experts were just in the process of making the bomb safe outside the home of a serving police officer when it went off. The district commander was scathing in his condemnation.
My colleague is someone who gets out of his bed every morning and goes to work with the sole aim of ensuring the safety of the community and working to prevent harm in the community. That is in sharp contrast to the individuals who left a viable explosive device in a residential area with kids and families going to school. The dangers don't need to be explained in depth. My colleagues in the major investigation team have started an investigation, and it is our firm belief that violent dissident Republicans are responsible for this attack on our community.
It was found at the home of the serving police officer at Ardenlee in the Culmore area of the city. The PSNI were alerted around 9:30 this morning. It's understood the device was discovered around breakfast time this morning when many children were being taken to school and others were leaving for work. A major security operation was put in place and a number of homes were evacuated. The police later extended the cordon. Local people were shocked at the discovery given the quiet residential nature of the area.
Lots of families, lots of children around. It's typical of that sort of young families, and yeah, nothing like this in the time that I've been here anyway.
Thoughts us, I just hope it doesn't go back to the old days, you know. Just nice and peaceful around here, as I say, and it's great for kids growing up.
The policing board condemned those responsible and said the officer had a lucky escape. Kieran Turish, BBC Newsline, Derry.
Meanwhile, 2 men have been charged in connection with arson attacks at the homes of police officers in Banbridge, Portadown and Guildford between April and July of last year. Both men are due before Lisburn Magistrates Court tomorrow to face charges of arson with intent to endanger life, conspiracy to cause an explosion and drug offences. 5 other people have been charged as part of the investigation. It's thought around 130 jobs are at risk after the First Trust Bank announced it's to close 15 branches in Northern Ireland. The bank says since 2010 there has been a 40% decline in branch usage, with a rise in mobile transactions over the past 2 years. First Trust said it was investing £10 million to help personal and business customers and has agreed a partnership with the Post Office for day-to-day banking. A clubhouse at the Tyrone GAA County Grounds has had to cancel activities after what it described as a despicable attack by burglars. Significant damage was caused to the club rooms at St Enda's GAA Club at Healy Park in Omagh. Police say the break-in happened sometime between 9 p.m. on Monday night and 8 a.m. on Tuesday morning. A 27-year-old man has appeared in court charged with the manslaughter of Conan Anderson. The 22-year-old died in hospital at the weekend. Catherine Morrison reports.
Conan Anderson from the Short Strand in Belfast was a student and a youth football coach. He suffered head injuries in an incident during a night out in Belfast city centre. Detectives believe it happened at Arthur Lane in the early hours of Monday, the 6th of February. He died in hospital 2 weeks later. Today at Belfast Magistrates Court, 27-year-old Lawrence Dowie appeared in court accused of his manslaughter.
Lawrence Dowie said nothing during the brief hearing. A police officer told the court he believed he could connect him to the charge. He said the accused had presented himself voluntarily to Musgrave Police Station. The detective also told the court that Lawrence Dowie had been threatened and that police are taking the threat seriously. For this reason, District Judge Fiona Bagnall has ordered that neither Lawrence Dowie's photograph nor his address can be published.
A defence lawyer stressed that the threat had nothing to do with the family of Conan Anderson or anyone associated with him. Lawrence Dowie was released on bail and will appear again in court on the 19th of April. Catherine Morrison, BBC Newsline, Laganside Courts in Belfast.
The Economy Minister Simon Hamilton has been accused in court of using firms in receipt of RHI subsidy as a political football. Businesses getting the subsidy are in a legal bid to stop their names from being published. Their barrister said far from being about the public interest, a plan to name them was an attempt to divert attention from ministerial and departmental responsibility for the flawed scheme. The case continues tomorrow. Almac, the Craigavon-based pharmaceutical firm, has told MPs that it might have to move some work to the Republic as a result of Brexit. The company said its decision to buy a factory in Dundalk was a direct result of the Brexit vote. Here's our economics and business editor, John Campbell.
Almac is one of our biggest and most important local firms. A major part of its business is making products for international drugs companies. For those products to be distributed in the EU, they must be certified in an EU lab. But it's not clear how the rules will change for UK-made products after Brexit. Almac's customers made it plain that just waiting to see what happens is not an option.
Our acquiring our premises in Dundalk and acquiring a company, we made that decision 2 weeks after Brexit vote because we couldn't wait. And we were asked by our customers, and these are major pharmaceutical companies, what is your solution to have an EU offering? We cannot say to them, we don't know, or wait and see.
It may be that ultimately the Brexit deal will mean the rules will stay much as they are now. But if they don't, that will mean more work for the Dundalk operation.
We have no desire to change our commercial base as Craigavon. From an investment perspective and a staffing perspective, it would be the wrong thing to do. But we'll have to respond to what customers need and want, and that the facility allows us the room to do that if we have to.
Aside from these worries about regulations, Almac also warned that intrusive customs checks will be very bad for business.
If there is a hard border and checks at that border, any issues which cause those products to be delayed, any issues which cause those products to be opened, whether it's a refrigerated door in a lorry or seals tampered with in the product, will lead us into, again, a non-competitive situation. Our customers will not really tolerate that.
Almac reiterated that Craigavon will remain at the centre of its global operations. But like so many businesses, it faces a period of uncertainty and not much in the way of political guidance. John Campbell, BBC Newsline.
The Taoiseach Enda Kenny has tonight told a meeting of the Fine Gael Parliamentary Party that he will deal with the question of his leadership after he returns from Washington. He's due at the annual St Patrick's Day Shamrock presentation with the US President. Questions had been raised about Mr Kenny's future, arising from his government's handling of the Garda whistleblower affair last week. Let's get the weather now, and Jeff Maskell has the forecast as a storm heads our way.
Hello, good evening. Well, some wet and windy weather heading in our direction with the fourth named storm of the season. Storm Doris is going to bring some strong winds and heavy rain, and we have weather warnings in place for both of those overnight and into tomorrow morning. Really not a very nice picture as that rain sits over us. In total, we're going to have about 12 hours of persistent heavy rain. And we keep that cold and wet feel to our weather as we get into Thursday, coupled with some strong winds, particularly along the east coast. That could cause some difficult driving conditions for a time. Those winds peaking through the middle part of the day as the winds is funneled down through the North Channel. As we go through the day, there will be some brightness between the showers, but always feeling pretty raw in that northwesterly flow. As we take the wider view, you can see exactly what's happening with Storm Doris having moved off. That means that we'll be a sting in the tail for the east coast of England with some strong winds to end the day. We get a little bit warmer and less windy the further south and west you go. Improving for us too, but the clear skies do mean that we will see some colder temperatures Thursday night into Friday. So an ice risk early on Friday before more rain starts to arrive. The only upside is that we are moving into a slightly more mild area of warmer air, and that will have an impact on our temperatures. So the weather on Saturday is still going to be wet. It's still going to be windy, but it's coming from the southwest, that slightly more mild direction. So temperatures up into double figures. All told though, not the nicest of outlooks.
That's it for now. Our next BBC Newsline is at 6:25 in the morning during breakfast here on BBC One. Have a very good night. Bye-bye.